Are you ready to unlock the secrets to selling your business for maximum profit? Now, today on Mind Your Business, we're sitting down with Carl Barham, a seasoned business broker and consultant who's helped countless entrepreneurs prepare, position, and profit from their businesses. So whether you're thinking about selling soon or years down the line, this episode is packed with expert advice that you can't afford to miss. So let's dive into the business of selling your business. Today, we're joined by Carl Barham, an accomplished business consultant and broker who's instrumental in helping business owners prepare, market, and profit from selling their business. Now, Carl has extensive experience in valuations, mergers, and acquisitions, and is here to share insights on how to plan and position your business for maximum success. Now, before we dive into our conversation with Carl, let's set the stage with our Mindset Minute. Now, this week, I want to remind you that as a business owner, we often focus on growth, but rarely think about the end game. Today's Mindset Minute is about seeing your business as an investment that should work for you. Now, whether it's scaling to sell or setting it up for generational wealth, understanding the value of preparation is really a true key to a successful transition. Now, let's explore how to make your business ready for the opportunities when they arise. Now, with that in mind, let's dive into the practical side of business preparation with our guest, Carl Barham. Carl, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today, Max.
Yeah, thank you for coming in and being a part of the Mind Your Business podcast. And in our short period of time of talking and communicating, you just shared a lot of insights with me about what you do, and I thought it'd be very fascinating to share with our audience. So I wanted to bring you on, and thought it'd be good for you to share your insights and information with everybody.
Well, absolutely. I always like the term that entrepreneurship is a team sport, and so the more people you have, if you ever played on a team before, you have coaches, you have advisors, you have different people that help you get better. You're in the business every day, working day to day. I like to share things to help people think about how to work on their business, not in their business, and have a goal of where they want to get to when that day comes, when they want to exit their business.
Well, I think that's really wonderful. And I don't know how many people think about that. You know, when I think getting into business, sometimes you just get in and you start, and you're not really thinking. I always say you should always start with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. So it's always good to kind of think about where you want to go. Even, you should always, I think about that, or at least prepare for that. I think even in the beginning. And at some point you have to transition. I don't know that many business owners think about that. At some point you have to transition, either transition to like a succession plan, mm-hmm. where someone else is succeeding you because you've just gotten too old, or it just makes sense to sell, or your interests have changed and you want to kind of move on to something else. So I think you play a critical role in information that people need. Or need to understand about how business works or their business works. So, like I said, again, I'm really just counting on you to give us some really good insights and some of your, like I said, insights. So, what I'd like to do is I'd like you to start with sharing your journey into kind of business consultant, kind of share kind of what inspired you to focus on business sales and acquisition.
Well, absolutely. So I'm an engineer by training, and I spent a lot of years working for companies and moved up the corporate ladder in different business roles. So I worked in sales, I've worked managing business, I've worked in operations, I've worked in even consulting businesses internally inside a large corporation. And what I ended up after almost 20 years of doing this, I learned a lot about how businesses run. I consider myself a business nerd. I understand how sales work. I know how to make money in business. I understand the financials of business. So that set of skill sets, when it came time, I wanted to own my own business. So I went on a search to look to buy a small business. I found a book from Harvard Business Review called How to Buy a Small Business. And it changed the way I thought about building wealth for your family, how to apply the skills and training that you've learned over your career to help benefit your business in particular. Now, doing that, I went and I would meet with business owners and we'd chat about their financials and their business, and then I would even make them an offer. And I found out that, number one, they've never gone through this process before, so they were not prepared. I would make them an offer. I worked in M&A and mergers and acquisitions before. I knew how to value a business. I knew how to prepare an offer. but the business owner didn't know how to value their business. So we weren't playing on equal playing field. So I thought it'd be great if someone out there would help small business owners with being able to sell their business, how to prep it, how to value it, how to sell, so more transactions could happen. I went around and I looked and I found out there's this whole industry of business brokerage that's what they do. They work with Main Street small business owners to do this. And I partnered up with a company called Transworld Business Advisors that does this through franchising. And my wife and I, we opened our own Transworld Business Advising franchise right here in Metro Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
All business owners do this.
Okay, wow. So Transworld, you said, allows you to franchise, right? So you have a franchise yourself, and so you and your wife are franchisees.
Yep,
franchisees, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So they bring you, can you figure out how to do this on your own? Absolutely. But Transworld has been doing it for 40 plus years. They figured out all the things not to do, how to do it. And so that gave us the ability to focus more on helping people. We didn't have to build the system. We didn't have to rediscover what was discovered. They were the best in the industry. We said, let's take this. Let's help the people here in Georgia figure out how to transition their business.
Well, I think that's, like you said, I think it's an amazing thing. I think it's something that a lot of times people don't think about, but it's important. Whether it is, like you had mentioned before, whether it's really selling your business or even acquiring something, it's almost like having someone hold your hand through that process, and you need that. I think people do.
Absolutely. If you were going to, for some reason, to court, you wouldn't defend yourself. Matter of fact, in the Constitution, they recommend that you don't do that. That's not your expertise. If you broke a leg or you needed a surgery, you wouldn't operate on yourself. You would get someone that was trained specifically in performing surgery or helping you with your illness. Likewise, if you're a business owner, you might be great at selling your product or service, running your business, but selling your business is a different skill set. So we specialize in that particular skill set, and we help business owners understand this is what a buyer is going to look for in your business. Are you aware of that? These are things you need to focus on that would make your business be worth more. And here are the things that you might be doing today in your business that's holding you back and make your business worth less.
You know what? Just in our conversations and talking, I thought you gave a really, really amazing example of this, and I'd love for you to share this with our audience. You talked about you compared preparing or selling your business to like selling your home, and so if you don't mind kind of doing that, I'd love for you to just kind of share that scenario.
Yeah,
again.
Absolutely. So a business is, first and foremost, it's an asset, considered legally as an asset, just like your home is. And most people, when they sell their home traditionally, would hire someone like a realtor to help them market their home. Now, there's a reason why most people don't sell and buy homes by themselves. There are legal requirements within states that need to happen. How do you value a home or get an idea of what the home is worth? How do you find buyers for the home? How do you actually put together an offer? And then there's a whole lot of things that need to happen between the time an offer is accepted and it gets to closing. And that's what real estate professionals do that sell homes. Well, business brokers and M&A advisors do the same thing for business. So if you were selling your business, first of all, it'd be really difficult for you to sell your own business. First, you'd have to do a valuation. Now, I can teach you, or you could read a book or go online and find technically how to determine things like the cash flow of your business. What is the EBITDA? What is the SDE for the business? What are add backs, etc. Then you'd have to figure out, how do you get a valuation on multiple? Do you use a cash flow method? Do you use an asset-based method? Do you do a debt ratio, discounted cash flow? Imagine having all these different ways of valuing business, but how do you know which one to apply for your particular business? So we help with that piece of it. But the hardest part, if you think about a business versus a home, you don't usually put a sign up and say, I'm selling my home. But a business, you can't do that. Yeah. Most business transactions are confidential. Why? Because one, you don't want your employees to know you're selling the business. That makes them nervous. You don't want your clients knowing you're selling your business. You don't want your suppliers. So because businesses have to be confidential in their soul, we have to put together a marketing package that describes the business, not as you would sell your product or service, but as you would an investor would decide on an investment. It's a completely different type of marketing. So we use the financials and some of the assets, the aspects of the business to help describe the business so that an investor, a buyer, could make an offer on your business. Part after that is, there's a lot of people that say, hey, I might buy your business, but they're not really serious. So you've got to be able to vet them. How do you know that they have the money, they can get the financing, that they would be a good successor to your business? That takes an expert eye to figure that out. And you also got to push back and not be emotional and too close to it. So we're able to provide that, and we'll help two parties come together on an agreement that works for everybody, where they get a deal done in the transaction, but they also have a relationship afterwards because they have to transition the business. Most people, you sell a house, the new owner gets it, you walk away, you don't have to deal with them anymore. But for a business, they have to work together post-sale. Right. So having someone help that, make sure it's a good, successful, happy experience is really key.
Wow. So it's like a business concierge. You're kind of helping someone kind of broach all that stuff. So, are you doing this for a while? And is there a more memorable business sale that you've been a part of that, do you have like something, that really memorable business transaction that's kind of stands out in your mind? And if so, what kind of made it stand out?
Yeah, absolutely. One of our first and earlier deals, we met with an owner through a referral. Someone had mentioned they had just left them, and they were talking with them, and they just finished their strategy meeting for their business with their leadership team about what they're going to do over the next 5 to 10 years to continue to grow their business. But he had mentioned that, there were some other things they'd like to do. Their kids were finishing high school and going away to college, so they were becoming empty nesters. And there was a lot of things they wanted to explore in their life. So I went over and I met with them, and we had a conversation. And we talked a little bit about, how is the business doing? And I will tell you, they were doing everything that you should do. They had implemented one of these kind of business improvement systems to help improve the business. And their numbers were increasing year over year. Their cash flow in the business was strong. They had even recently acquired property and moved their operation to a bigger location where they had room to grow and expand further. They did everything that you should do to optimize the value of your business. I said, look, quite honestly, I don't know that you can do much more to improve your business. For you to grow additionally in the business, you would have to acquire more businesses maybe, or you would have to invest substantial amount of time and money to get to the next tier of growth. Is that what you want to do? And they said, you know what? There's some other things we'd like to do. We had a discussion. We did a valuation. We came back with a number that they were really happy with. We were able to find a buyer for that business within a week.
Oh, wow.
Had it under contract. So we met with them on a Friday. We did the valuation over the weekend. We signed a contract to list their business on a Monday. And by Friday, we had an offer above the asking price for the business. And then we closed about 35 days later.
Wow.
The best part of that is that after they sold their business, they transitioned it. They were able to move to a nice vacation home that they had hardly had time because they were so busy running their business. They got to travel. Matter of fact, just heard the other day, right now, they're on a 4-month trip in Europe.
Wow.
Because they were able to sell the business and have the day-to-day. But the best part of it, they wanted to do some other things. So they invested in other business, and one of them actually even became a broker.
Wow.
With our office.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. So you must have had some kind of impact on that, or maybe they loved what you did and said, hey, I want to do that. Is that
they were gifted. They had a lot more years and things to offer. I said, you're in the best position to help other people that's in the same situation see that there's a path that they can move forward that doesn't include them being defined by the business they own today. They can do other things. And you, better than anybody else, could tell that story and help people come to the right decision for the right time to sell their business.
Wow. I think that's, like I said, it's really great that you're able to do that and help people kind of get to that point. And like I said, I think it is very, very an important service that I don't even know how many people think about that as a career thing. And you were saying yourself that you were kind of that there actually could be a career out there for that, or someone to go out there and like a realtor, go out there and help people broker businesses or sell businesses. I think.
Absolutely. If you think about it, who best to do that sort of thing than someone, an entrepreneur that has been running businesses, They know the language. It's different when you work in corporate environments versus small business. The networks you make, the kind of context, the day-to-day activity is different. But you can relate to someone that's in that situation. There are times when you're struggling to make payroll. And if you could look someone eye to eye and say, I understand that, you're able to have an empathy for them, to help them guide. And also a small business versus a large 100 million, 200 million, $1 billion business. It's a personal thing. It's like their baby. You're not selling just some asset that they don't care about. They care about the team and the people. A lot of them help people send their kids to college through the wages that they earn in that business. So they care about it and they want to find the right successor to the business. So we find people that have that experience end up being really fabulous business brokers and business advisors. We teach the skills, how to value businesses, how to market them, how to sell it. We're good at that part. We can get, but if someone has the right ingredients, the right experience, it's a really great way for them to not only continue to make a living if that's what they want to do, but they could also give back to the larger small business community from their experience.
Well, I think it's like I said, it always astounds me the many opportunities that exist out there for really ways to not only, I think what I love about business is there's so many different ways to do business, to operate business, and to help other people do the same thing. And again, this is just another great example of people who do spend their time, and it is personal, what you said. It's personal about getting your business started. I don't know very many people who start a business who are really, it's the time that you have to invest in it and the amount of yourself you have to put into it is a personal thing. And when you come to the point where you're thinking about selling it or moving on, it definitely is a personal decision, and it's a lot that goes into it. So it's good to have someone hold your hand through that process. So are there any particular kind of lessons that you had your former lives, all the different things that you've done in the corporate world? Mm-hmm. Are there any kind of lessons that you kind of bring from that help you really in this career here?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I had the fortune to do, I got trained in what's called the Malcolm Baldrige award criteria, where you would go into a business and learn within 5 days how to assess all different aspects of the business. There are 6 different categories and results. And what it did was it trained you on how to quickly understand what's driving the inherent value of the business. Let me give you an example. Some businesses are sales dominant. The nature of the business, the way they generate, they need a strong sales system in the business to continue to generate sales. Now, what's in a sales system? Well, there might be some technology like a CRM that's allowing you to track. But more importantly, you have to have individual salespeople that are trained in sales, surrounded with the right process and tools so that you're ensuring that you can predict the outcome to drive revenue. So think about all the businesses that need to revenue is the lifeblood of the business. Well, if you don't have a good sales system in place. Now, let me tell you where I find a lot of small business owners making mistakes. The owner is the sales system. Their relationships. They go out there and they win every deal. I had a business owner who did that, built a beautiful business over many years. But over the years, really enjoyed sales and really didn't delegate a lot of that function and activity to other people so they can learn to be successful in sales for the business. So what if the owner, for whatever reason, is not available for 6 months or 3 months? Does all the sales go away? Think about, if you're planning on exiting your business in the future, how do you build it so it's sustainable beyond you? What I learned in corporate America, no one person was responsible for the success of the company. It was teams, it was processes, it was systems in place that ensured. So that's why one CEO leaves and the company continues. One manager leaves and the company. Adopting those into a small business might seem like, well, we're different than them, but not really. Those things that you start to delegate, the owner has a different role in the company than executing the day-to-day operation. Learning to delegate those things, training and equipping people to be successful, not only frees them up to work on other important things, not only helps them proven to generate more profits, cash flow, but actually makes the business more valuable. Most people don't think about that.
And you know what? This is a super, super important subject and topic for a couple of reasons. And one, about you talked about systems and the importance of setting up systems. And I've been an entrepreneur for many, many years. And it's almost one of the last things you kind of think about doing. You just kind of, you usually get in, you start a business, and you just start operating it. And you don't always write down what you did and how to do it in a duplicatable way. And so I think one thing that has forced me, even in business, to I have a lot of people who do it. And I think what happened even with COVID and things like that, people had to learn to work remote, and people had to learn to put systems online. And I think that was one of the better things for me, was being able to create a knowledge base. So for my business, we have a knowledge-based platform that my employees, that as things happen, because sometimes we don't think ahead or advance about these situations, but as things are happening, my philosophy is, if you got to do something twice, have a strategy for it. You know, if you got to do it one time, maybe you don't have to sit there and put together all that information or that data. But if you got to do it twice, and then even if you do want to, I don't know that there's a way to scale or grow a business without having something like that in place. So because not only that, in one of my former businesses, that was kind of like the first time I sat and it was an operations manual, and it wasn't as high tech as my stuff is now. It was literally like a binder, but it had everything in there, and so it helped with training. It's like some of those bigger companies who just have a system. If there is a system that's duplicatable, then the success can be duplicatable.
Absolutely.
And that's something I learned, is how to take the time. And for a business owner, it is not always looked at, I don't think, as the best use of your time.
I will tell you, sometimes it's about mindset. And so what is your job as an owner of a business? And I keep the world really, really simple. I'm saying you kind of have two roles as a small business owner. On one side, you wear a hat, and on the hat says employee. You're an employee of your business. To get stuff done, you're working in your business. You're packing the product, you're shipping the product, you're answering the phone, you're doing the sales, you're doing the bookkeeping, you're doing all of those things. It's needed when you start a business. But if you think about it, if you're going to duplicate and grow, you cannot continue to do that, all those different tasks yourself. There's only 24 hours in the day. The constraint is time. We all have the same amount of time. You cannot duplicate yourself. So if you don't start adding people to your team and technologies and processes that allow you to do more with less, there is no way you can, even if you can get all the revenue in the world, you cannot grow your business. The second hat you wear is a shareholder hat. You're actually the owner of the business. Let me describe what a shareholder is. Warren Buffett doesn't go in and produce sea candies. He doesn't sell insurance. He is the owner of the business that deploys capital, money, and resources to help businesses be success. He's not an employee, he's a shareholder. Well, every small business owner have both hats. The question you got to ask for yourself, how much time are you spending as an employee and how much time are you spending as a shareholder? Most shareholders' goal is to improve shareholder value. Many employee goals is, how do I do more with less? Can I work less hours? Can I figure out a way to do less? They're in inherent conflict. Hence why there are board of directors that represent the shareholders, that force management and employees to do things that are uncomfortable, like creating processes, investing in technology so the business can grow and increase shareholder value. Simply put, every business owner should think about, where do they spend their time? How much time do they spend in the business? How much do they spend on the business? And if you're not spending at least 30, 40% on the business, you're not trying to unlock the value in your business.
You know what, and I agree with you. Sometimes those two things can get confusing, working in it and on it. But I'm growing and transitioning and figuring that. And sometimes you can get lost in the working in it process, and you really get very little time. But I think that's a really good, I guess, barometer, 30 to 40%. You said 30% working on it instead of in it. And I think that that it's a good a goal, I guess, for a lot of business owners, because it is it's easy to get kind of caught up in doing that. And kind of while we're on this subject, if there is kind of going back to like selling a business, what's kind of like one myth that, if you'd like to debunk a myth about selling a business, what would that be?
Yeah, the number one myth that I think is when it comes to business valuation, many people believe that businesses are sold on a multiple of revenue, or it could be sold based on the potential of the business, or it could be sold based on what someone put into the business. All three of those are absolutely wrong. There is no way someone can buy a business based on future potential. There's no way they can buy a business based on all the time and energy you put into it. Can't be quantified in a way that someone can give you value for that. The only way that someone can buy a business is based on the financial performance of the business and what's going to happen on the business that you've created into the future. And so having a business valuation done properly is key. Many business owners will say, this is the price I need for my business to sell for me to exit it. You don't get a choice. First of all, about 70 to 80% of businesses that are bought and sold are funded through a loan, and most of them by SBA 7A loan. If you ever gone to a bank and you ask them, can I get a refinance on my house? And they're going to ask you, how much is your house worth? You could say any number you want. You could say $10 million. You could say $5 million. You could say $100 million. But what do? They go and get an appraisal. A third party will look at your house and look at every other house in the neighborhood that's like your house. And they say, your house is worth this. This is all we will lend on. If you want more than that, you better find the unicorn out there that'll pay you what you think it's worth. But a business is even more severe when it comes to that. A business value can change just on the performance of the business. So imagine if you don't have a good valuation done by somebody that's trained to do it, it could lead you to make a wrong decision. Right. I've had business owners who, whatever way they did their valuation, thought their business was worth $5 million. When the day came when they needed to sell the business, they came and they got a valuation that was $500,000.
Oh, wow.
Imagine if you were depending all of your legacy that you're leaving to your kids, your retirement is based on a wrong number. All the different decisions you would make if you had a right number. So I would recommend every year, every business owner gets a valuation done on their business.
And so in taking even that information or evaluation, so how does someone go about getting an evaluation? Is it, again, it's not like you can just hire an appraisal. Like there's a lot of appraisals out there.
You can't. There's three basic ways you can do. So I'm going to describe the do-it-yourself. You can go and read books and get trained, take course, and get taught how to value a business. And I'll tell you the formula really quickly. 95% of small business is going to be valued based on a multiple of cash flow. So first, you got to be able to determine what is the cash flow. The cash flow is not the profit of your business. It is not the net income that is on your tax return. The typical metrics that are used are called EBITDA and or SDE, seller discretionary earnings. Now, I'm not going to go into the detail of what those are. You can Google that online and figure that out. But once you determine that number, what that is fundamentally, if your business was a black box producing cash, it represents the cash that the business can generate. Then you look at similar businesses and say, what multiple, how were those businesses sold for? Of similar size, similar industry, similar characteristics. I'll give you another cheat sheet. Most businesses are sold between 2 to 3 times the cash flow. Most small businesses, period. They do not sell at 9 times cash flow. They do not sell at 5 times cash flow. They sell between 2 to 3 times. Now, what determines whether it's 2.1 or 2.4 or 2.7, 2.8 depends on qualities of the business. Not quantity, but qualities. Has the business been growing? Has the cash flow? Is there a team in place? Is there a sales system in place? Do you have a good lease, or do you own the property? There are all these other things that would make a business more attractive or less. That's how you do it. Do it yourself. Second option, do it with someone. You might go to your accountant or somebody that is an advisor to you that is trained on doing business valuation and have them do one for you. Now, they might charge you for that advisor, but it's someone that will give you a number independent of you, which is the worst one because you might have more bias.
Right.
The third is going out to an M&A advisor or a business broker who's trained specifically in this. It's not your accountant or your lawyer or an advisor. This is what they do for a living, and they can give you an accurate valuation for your business to help you make good decisions for your business as you move through. If you have the wrong number today on your valuation, like the example I gave, if we didn't do a valuation for them, they would never have known that that was the right moment for them to sell their business for the maximum value. They would have continued for 5 to 10 more years, possibly burn themselves out, possibly not get to enjoy being on a 4-month cruise trip throughout Europe because they sold at the right time. Information is the key. Making sure you have it will help people make the right decisions.
And I would think that even you kind of mentioned earlier about the importance of getting a valuation once a year, you're saying. And I guess it's kind of like going back to another example you had mentioned also with selling a home, kind of getting it. Sometimes it's good to prepare for the unknown or what you didn't know. And even if you're not ready to, I guess, sell your business now, at least you kind of know what to probably be setting up or how to prepare for that or what other people are going to be looking at, which I think is very important, I think, even down the road to have a realistic expectation of what to expect.
That's why that key metric, most people, I always ask 3 questions when I meet a business owner, and it gives me a sense of where we're starting at. The first question I ask is, do you know how much money you made last year? Really simple question. Right. And I like it to be an open book test. Right. Go to your tax return, go into your QuickBooks, your P&L. But can you come back and tell me, do you know how much you made last year? That's the first question. The second question is a little bit different. I ask, do you know how much cash did you put in your pocket? Not what profit you pay taxes on, but I want to know, did you figure out you're spending all this time, how much do you actually go into your pocket? And other things come into the factor. There are expenses that you can claim on a tax return, like depreciation and amortization, or there might be interest and other things that are really sources and uses of cash that doesn't have to do with the operations of the business. It's on financing decisions or investing decisions. So if you know the cash flow of your business, then you're at another level of understanding. Then the third question is, do you know how much cash did you make last month? And the reason I ask those 3 questions, it gives me an idea how in tune are they with the ups and downs and fluctuation in the performance. If they know those answers, it's a good time they're doing the right things in the business and their business is pretty strong. If they don't know, the business could have been losing money for the last year and they have no idea. So understanding those metrics regularly. Cash flow is the most important business. You should be measuring it monthly. You should understand. You should do evaluation annually at a minimum to understand the value of your business.
Again, I think that's really good sage wisdom. And I don't know how many people think like that or think about those kinds of things.
They should. If I could add one more thing on that, we just talked about, do it yourself, do it with someone, have someone else do it. Let's talk about what I consider an epidemic in the small business community, and that's good books and records. There is a term, when I'll throw it out there, many people will say, well, we're coming into December now, and I'm going to pay my accountant or bookkeeper to clean up my books. That's the term they'll use. They'll charge, they'll give all the books and records to some financial professional to clean it up. You got to think of it like if you were in your house. Would you ever want to live in a house that is messy and disorganized all year and you only clean your house on December 31st? That's effectively what a lot of small business owners do. Having good books and records is super critical. Now, I'll be honest, you don't have to focus on that as an employee or owner of your business if no one else is looking at your books and records. But the second someone external looks at it, and it might be for you're trying to get a loan from an SBA lender to they're going to look at your books and it better make sense. It better be accurate. It might be a buyer. It might be an investor, a partner. Someone is looking at your books and records to understand what's going on. And if they see a mess, wrong transaction coding, the amounts are wrong, things that don't even make sense in there that's happening that you're waiting to the end of the year to clean up. So investing in a good bookkeeper. Now, again, do it yourself, fine. Get trained, understand accounting, coding, learn how to use QuickBooks, do it yourself. But if you're the owner of your business, that is probably one of the worst use of your time. If I were to say you had an extra hour of the week, go sell. Go recruit and train good people. Take care of your customers. If you're spending your time bookkeeping and you're not good at it and you don't love it, that is an absolute mistake. Second, you might hire someone to help you with that. They might set it up right, your chart of accounts, and help guide you, and then you might do it or someone on your team might do it. Or you may hire a professional to do it properly. Not all bookkeepers and accountants are the same, so you got to make sure you have someone that's good at it. But really getting control of your books and records is critical.
Like I said, I'm listening to you, and I'm listening to even what I do, and a big part of what I do is helping businesses create business credit and helping them. So that's a big part of even that. Of kind of one of the things we stress is getting people to understand how to put really things in order. And sometimes if you've never really looked at those things or never took the time to look at what you should be thinking about, it's things really just they're not natively top of mind. Yep. You're not really thinking about it until you have to think about it. But by that time, it's probably not enough. You didn't think about it soon enough. So.
Absolutely. Let me show you to pinpoint on that. We had a deal recently that we had a buyer that offered a fabulous number for the business, 7-figure number for the business. And when we got into due diligence and the owner had to prove that the cash flow of the business was flowing through the business, they couldn't. The business was making money.
They couldn't.
They could not. The books and records were not kept up. They did not reconcile to the bank statements. So it showed that it was doing a lot of money. But if you had to prove it, that means money was received from a customer and flowed all the way into a bank account to show that the money actually happened and it came in from a paying customer and not from some other source. If you can't prove that, and now the beautiful thing is QuickBooks is a technology that's been built to do this. But let me tell you, a lot of people don't know how to use QuickBooks. And they think because QuickBooks is there, it's automatically doing it. You still need someone that knows how to drive the Ferrari that is QuickBooks.
So here's another, sometimes it can be a formidable thing or something intimidating if you're not into numbers or don't understand numbers. But I will say there are some apps out there that I've recommend. They're not coming to the top of mind at this moment, but there are apps that you can get on your phone. They're just putting in some of the transactional things, the day-to-day stuff, because I think that's one of the bigger things that do create problems and really creates the headache of putting it off because you're just having things come in. But we're mentioning how important it is to be able to know what numbers go where or what things go. And my suggestion to business owners is to start with some type of system, again, because those do feed to QuickBooks and to some of these other platforms. That makes it a little bit easier, less daunting for the day-to-day transactional things. Yep. is my point.
Yeah, absolutely. But then there's kind of three different roles in your financial system or roles that play in, and there is what I call the bookkeeping task, which is properly coding all the transactions so you have good information. There is the role of the CPA, the accountant, who has to meet the requirement of taxes every year. Most people have someone that's doing their taxes. May or may not have an outside bookkeeper, whether they're doing themselves, but they at least have a CPA, and that's why they have to clean up their record so their accountant can produce an output, which is the tax return. Right. But the third role is the CFO. And that person is looking at what the accountant is doing and what the bookkeeper is doing and making sure it makes sense for the shareholder investor. And if you don't have someone in the CFO, and it could be the owner, I recommend owners learn how to be their own CFOs. But if that's not your gift, if that's not your talent, if that's not your passion, having someone that is reviewing what's going on, it also gives a third level of protection. There's some times where people might be embezzling, doing wrong things in the business, accidentally or on purpose. If you delegate all of that fully to the bookkeeper or the accountant, you may be at risk.
Yeah.
Having a third person that's looking at the work that they're doing and reporting back to you, the shareholder owner. Your books are good. I checked it. Everything looks sound. Keep doing what you're doing. It's just an important thing that people should consider.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to talk about preparation and preparing, and we're kind of talking about how important preparation really is and to this whole process. If you were to kind of give a business owner like a way to start, maybe they haven't done this, they've not, okay, like they're hearing this conversation, they're hearing this, where would they start? Where would somebody start?
I'll tell you, I'd start with really simple. I'd start with goal, then metrics, then systems. That's the way you would approach your business. You start with a goal. Why did you go into business? And I ask most people why they go into business. They give me really beautiful stories of how they're serving a market or identified a need, or they're realizing their potential and so on. Let's not get it twisted. The purpose of business is to increase shareholder value. That is the fun one. Go to a textbook, Google it. It is to increase shareholder value. If you are a business owner, you may or may not have decided that's why you want to be in business, but you should be clear if that is the goal. There's a different set of action than what I call lifestyle business. I'm in business because I like doing it. You may own a flower shop and you just like working with flowers. You don't care if it makes money. You may not care if it increases value of the business. It's just what you like to do. We call those lifestyle. The first thing in that goal is be specific. Make a conscious decision. I am creating this business because I love the lifestyle of it. And if that is the case, that is absolutely valid. It is great. You can make tons of money. You don't have to worry about anything around preparing your business for exit or selling. When you're done with your lifestyle, just close the doors and walk away. But if you want to create value as an investment, you want to build this asset that you put blood, sweat, and tears into to have a value at the end of the day, whether you pass it on to your children or sell it, then you've got to do different things. You have an obligation to the shareholder, which is you,
right,
to build a business that can sustain beyond you and grow and maximize value. Second, to do that, you need metrics. So how do you know if you reach a goal? If you told me you wanted to lose 30 pounds, I dare you to lose 30 pounds without measuring yourself, weighing yourself. Yeah. You have to weigh yourself. So if you don't have a metric, which is where I go back to, the metric isn't revenue, the metric isn't net income, the metric is cash flow and the value that you're creating in your business.
So if you were to give someone advice on who's maybe thinking about selling their business, how far in advance should a business owner start preparing to sell their business, if that's kind of where they're thinking?
Absolutely. I love the show Shark Tank. If you ever watched them, when they talk about at the end of it, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars for X percentage of your business. You start at day one. If you acquire a business, you start thinking about preparing your business for sale day one. If you start a business from scratch, in your typical business plan, if anyone looked at a business plan, there's always a section about marketing and about the organization. Then there's a financial plan. You know what's always missing from most business plans? Exit. What is the terminal value? If you were to run this business for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what is the number? Because you invested dollars and you might have had other family, friends, and other people invest. What is the number that you're going to get at the end of this journey? So the first thing I would absolutely say for people to have to think about is make sure that they have a plan to hit that number when they get there.
Yeah, good. Like I said, good advice. And are you seeing out there in the market any trends that are really shaping business sales and acquisitions? And if so,
absolutely, what would that be? It's a trend that's hitting everybody. We call it the silver tsunami. The baby boomers, 72 million people born over a 12-year period, are retiring at a rapid rate. Almost 100,000 people a day are retiring. Just think about this. 31 million businesses, 98% of them are small businesses. And you have this large portion of businesses that are owned by baby boomers that will have to transition. And guess what? Their kids don't want the business. They want to be influencers. They want to be on TV. They want to do something else, but they don't want to take over the business. So all of those people are now having to deal with transition. And then another thing happened. Everyone's working and living longer. So 25 years ago, a business owner may retire between 55 and 65. Now they're healthier, they're stronger. If you've seen the recent election, older people are still in power and doing things at a much older age. So now they're 70, 75. So this bubble of people that need to transition their business is coming. Now they fall into a couple of camps. One group needs to sell now, and they show up and they say, I need to sell tomorrow because I'm moving to Hawaii and I'm done. Well, there's not a lot they can do about the value of their business at that point. We can package it, we can find a buyer, we can sell it, we can get them their money, but they can't really influence. There's no leverage at 6 months or right now. If you're 3 years away, there are things you can do to start prepping your business that gives you more leverage. If you think of a fulcrum, the more time away where you move that lever point, you can actually have a bigger swing. If you're further away from that, if you're 5 to 7 years away, there are fundamental things. So I'll give you, I did a little bit of research once, and it's interesting when you acquire a business, most businesses grow at about 5% to 10% a year when they're early on, when they're mature, they're not past 3 to 5 years. The rate of growth to 5 to 10%, which is great. So if you did that over 10 years, that could be, you could double the size of your business and hence double the value of the business. But I looked at that and I added in, what if you did acquisitions along with organic growth? The average person that does acquisition is growing at 25 to 30% per year versus 5. And at the end of a 10-year period, instead of doubling the value of their business, so let's say it was worth $1 million today, right, organic growth, 10 times the value. So you can get a check of $1 million with organic growth alone, or with an M&A strategy incorporated into the business, a check for $10 million. Now, I just told you 10 years away. That's what people should be thinking about if they're much further away from exiting their business.
Wow. So, in all your years of doing this and helping businesses, is there any, or what would you say was the most unusual business you've kind of ever helped sell?
Unusual business. Well, businesses come in all size and shape. There was one that I did not know this was. It was a doula business.
Okay, yeah.
Doulas help, kind of similar to midwives. It's an alternative approach to childbearing that relies more on natural, holistic support for the mother through the pregnancy and through birth. And so this really outstanding entrepreneur created a business that was around training other doulas. Now, if you go and look, there is no federal certification to be a doula. But a lot of people from a lot of cultures around the world, that is what their norm is to use a doula versus going into hospitals and medical care. But wouldn't it make sense if you had some kind of certification to know that your doula is trained? And so this entrepreneur built a business to train and certify doulas. So if you were considering one, you can go and look and say they were certified, the hours of training that they've done, what they've done. So it helps the consumer make an informed decision about the right person to help them through this. But the clientele for this business was doulas,
right?
Because they needed ongoing, continuing education. So they would provide training and certification and business support. How do you build a doula business? A lot of lower income communities rely on these professionals in their communities for childbirth, for childbirth, pregnancy and childbirth. And so making sure that they're well trained, they have a business that's sustainable. So they were ready to retire from the business. And we said, that's a very specific business. Not everyone would even know that that exists, much less bought it. But we found someone in that community that acquired that business and bought it. And so it was a deal great for both sides. They knew each other in the industry. They were able to come to a deal. And the new owner has a passion and is ready to continue to build this business. They're doing deals with healthcare companies and Walmart and others that now incorporate options for their employees to use a trained doula service in opposed to going the traditional one. Guess what? It helps the companies because they do lower some of the costs for medical costs and associated with childbearing when they use this service. So the company wins. This business owner now is getting exposed to a lot more clients, so they're winning. And the people out there that want to use these services know that they can do it safely. So we were really, really happy to help those entrepreneurs connect and get that deal done.
Wow. Like I said, it does sound like there's just a plethora of ways that you have been able to help people and continue to help people. And so it's kind of taken us as we're into our Pitch Perfect segment, actually, where we what I usually do in preparing the shows, we kind of put some questions out there, letting people know who's coming on for a guest. And so what I want to put out there is highlighting the ideas and helping people to have actionable feedback. And so whether they're selling a business or planning to buy one, what I want to do is get one of these, one of the questions that we have for our listeners. So this is a question they had for you, knowing you're coming on. So they want to know what's the simplest way to get a rough idea of their business's value before seeking professional advice. And so what would you say?
Well, the easiest way, we have a tool on our website, www.tworld.com/Atlanta Peachtree, that is a valuation tool. You can go in there and fill out some information about the numbers, and it will do a calculation and give you a range. Now, it's just a range because it doesn't know the specifics of your business, but that's a good, easy, simple way to get an idea, an online valuation tool with a reputable company that knows what they're doing around it. We have thousands of transactions in our database that, you pick the industry. We've got transactions that'll tell you what multiples are doing, what the trends are, and help you with the value of the business. But the other is, if you wanted to do something, determine your cash flow for the business, your SDE, seller discretionary earning. If your business is less than $5 million in sales, you can use EBITDA if it's above $5 million in sales. And then you add a multiple, I would say for SDE, multiple between 2 to 3. That'll be a good range. If you're using EBITDA, if you're a larger business, you can use 2.5 to 3.5 as a multiple for that business.
All right, good information. So, Let me just ask you on that vein, who would you say is really the typical client that you serve, and kind of what industries, if any, do you specialize in?
Yeah, so we've got a team, like I said, Entrepreneurs is a team sport, and we apply that in what we do as well. We have a team of agents from different industries. We have different experience, not only at our local office here in Georgia, but across the network. We've got about 800 plus agents across 250 plus offices around the trans world, and we could pick up the phone and call any one of them. I have 2 conversations this afternoon for a couple of folks in New York State that have businesses that fit with a buyer that I know that we're going to discuss. So we have a broad network of folks that are able to support helping people, with what we do.
Right. So if you were to say kind of like what type of businesses are best positioned for acquisition in today's market, if you were...
It's all types of businesses, but think of it simply. There are some businesses that like I call them lifestyle, and another term might be solopreneurs and so on. Mm-hmm. The reality is those businesses aren't really as valuable because the term is you're buying a job. Our best clients have built a business that can sustain. So if the business owner can leave the business for 2 weeks and go on vacation and continue to generate revenue and profits, then they probably have a business that's worth selling and can look at doing that early on. And so our ideal clients, typically we're finding there are a lot of baby boomers. The businesses have more than 5 years of history. If it's less than 3 years of history, the problem is the SBA won't lend on it. So people may not be able to get funding to buy the business if it doesn't have at least 3 years of history in the business. So tenured businesses, 7 to 10 years plus is ideal. Baby boomers, all sorts of industries can be a value. But more importantly, I would say we do best as professional M&A advisors for people that that enjoy getting professional help them on things where they're not strong in. And so we're full service. When people come to us, we have them focus on the business, keep running your business as good. We handle all of the M&A activity for the business. So folks that are comfortable for paying for advisors to help them through things are typically good clients for us.
So if someone is looking to sell or refer a client to you, what really should they know about working with your team?
The first is that we're gonna be brutally honest with them in a respectful way, but what we have found in the industry, there are business owners that have been in business for 20, 30 years, and for whatever reason, they're not getting the information they need. And so in working with us, we'll give them honest valuation on their business. We'll tell them, here's what a potential buyer is going to love about it. Here are the things that are going to be problematic, and here are things you can do about that. The other thing in working with us is we're really good. We spend about 150 hours a year of training our team in our office on all sorts of things relating to business, some not relating to business. We not only on the financial side for business, on how to sell, how to market business. We do it through professional organizations. We have internal training that we're doing, but we feel that it's better to have a very well-trained business advisor supporting the business that could help them. We're often the person that when someone has one of our clients or folks that know us, they have a business, they pick up the phone and they call us. And if we don't know the answer, we know how to connect them to the person that has the answer. And the final thing I say in working with us, buying or selling a business is a process and it's not overnight. And so we try our best to manage expectations on the timeline that it would take to do this. A typical business right now, the average time, median time, for selling business is about 8 months. 8 months. So if you need to sell a business in 3 months, can it be done? Possibly, but it's highly unlikely that it'll get done in 3 months. It'll typically take 8. We're able to do some things that improve that time very often, and we see 4 to 5 months very often for businesses. But at the end of the day, the market is going to dictate the speed in which the business, if it's well priced in a market where there's a lot of demand for it, it will sell. If it's a business that has lower demand or is not well priced, it will take longer if it sells at all.
It's a lot. It's a lot to you've been able to provide, but I definitely thank you for coming in. And I wanted to say, kind of like today's takeaway. I feel like every business owner should operate their business as if they're preparing to sell it, even if they're not. And by keeping your operations streamlined, your finances in order, and your vision sharp, you'll always be ready for the next big opportunity. And so whether that's a lucrative sale or a strategic partnership. And you know what, Carl, like what's one actionable piece of advice that you would give business owners that are considering to sell their business in the next few years? I know you've given a lot of different things, but if it's one actionable piece of advice.
I would say number one, if you're not good at your bookkeeping and keeping records, the biggest gift you can give yourself is getting a good professional to do it for you. It is absolutely killing you in your business, and it'll kill you in valuation. And I'm not talking just a couple $1,000. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, or value is destroyed every year because people don't put the right focus on keeping good books and records. including, and I should mention this, for all of those out there that choose to underreport the cash that they may get from whatever endeavor they have to avoid paying taxes, I'll leave you with this final thought around that, the importance of it. For every dollar of cash that you don't report into your business, if you're in a 30 to 40% tax bracket, would save you 30 to 40 cents for every dollar you're saving. But on the value of the business, if it can't be defended and proved, I just told you up to 3 times multiple for every dollar of cash.
Right.
So that dollar could be worth $3 when you sell. So do you want to save 30 cents today or get $3 tomorrow for that decision to hide cash or not track and report all the cash?
And
that's a 10x difference.
Yeah, and do you know what? Honestly, I think sometimes those things in today's world where money comes from all kinds of cash apps and other things like that, sometimes it is a little bit more challenging to get all of that funneled into one place or whatever, with certain industries or whatever, others not so much. But I just think that's really great advice because you put it in a way that I don't know that most people are thinking about, being able to see the difference between that 30 cents and $3 situation. So like I said,
10x difference in value. So if you sold your business, if you had $1 million of cash flow and your business was going to sell for $3 million and you hit $1 million worth of cash, that's $3 million you left on the table. 6 million. That can change the trajectory of your family forever.
Like I said, great advice. And so today, Carl's reminded us that preparation and strategy really is everything when it comes to selling a business. And by treating your business like an investment, you'll not only secure its value, but ensure a smooth transition when it's time to move on. So, Carl, thank you for sharing your insights with us. And like I said, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. And so for those who want to learn more about preparing their business, where can they find you online?
Absolutely. So you can visit our website. On our website, we have a knowledge base page that has blogs, white papers, just helping educate sellers and buyers on the journey, how to do valuations, how to prep your business, how to sell an unprofitable business is a recent blog that we did. It's at www.tworld.com/Atlanta Peachtree. So feel free to visit that. You can also reach us via email at Atlanta Peachtree at tworld.com. Send us an email. You can set up a consultation with one of our advisors. They can walk through an exit planning strategy with you, help you with the valuation for the business. And for those that want to just reach out by phone, we can be reached at 770-766-9855. Again, just call and we can schedule a consult with someone just to help them explore their option. And if you're ready to sell your business today and you've already made that decision, we can absolutely help people with doing that and get that business valued and on the market pretty quickly.
Wow. Thanks again, Carl. And to everyone listening, remember to follow me, also Max Fortune, at Mind Your Biz Expert. That's where you can find me, and also on all social media. And make sure you subscribe to Mind Your Business really on YouTube and everywhere where you see podcasts. And where you find us on our socials, Mind Your Biz Expert. So on any Instagram, or that's for all of our social media things there, you can find us that way. But I want to just remind everybody to just make sure you keep engaging with our podcast, submit your questions, and let's continue to build together. Until next time, stay sharp, stay focused, and always mind your business. And see you in the next episode. So again, Carl, thank you so much. You've been great with so much information. So.
And thank you for what you're doing. Getting this information out there to the small business community is so important. And so I want to thank you for allowing me to share today and for all that you're doing to help educate the small business community.
Well, again, thanks. You've given us so much to think about. So thank you. And I hope that all listeners out there, you guys are taking this stuff to heart the business owners and just kind of preparing your business for success. So thank you again. See you in the next episode.